Acclaimed director Robert Eggers has younger twin brothers, and they wanted to make it a family business. The two of them joined forces to direct their feature debut, a psychological horror film that you can now see on Max. Let's talk about The Front Room. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the new film, The Front Room. If you missed this one in its incredibly short run in theaters a few months ago, it is now streaming on Max. And yes, it is directed by Sam and Max Eggers, who are the younger twin brothers of Robert Eggers, who has directed The Lighthouse, great movie, The Witch. He has his new movie in theaters right now called Nosferatu, a remake of that old classic, and I'll give you my review on that once I see it. But for now, we have these twins in his family that decided, you know what, Robert's killing it, let's try our own hands at it, and the result, well, we'll see here in a moment. But this movie also welcomes back Brandy to the world of horror. Brandy, obviously a very popular R&B singer in the 90s, but she had a couple of films as well that were pretty big deals, and one of them was the sequel to I Know What You Did Last Summer, and that was at this point about 25 years ago. So she's done a few movies here and there, but not a ton. So it's nice to see her back in the horror genre as well. But look, we'll talk about this movie here and my thoughts on it in just a second. First, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are a Dan Reviews It subscriber already, thank you so much for that. Always love having you return to the channel. But if you're not, please consider subscribing. Click that notification bell so you get the alerts for all my video drops. I do try to post just about every day, so there's always something going on here on the channel. And you can also just like this video, comment below. That stuff helps the channel tremendously as well. All right, so this movie is about a pregnant couple who is basically, struggling to not only make ends meet, but buying the simple necessities of life. And this is played by Brandy and Andrew Burnap. They play Belinda and Norman, and the two of them fall into a potential windfall when an ailing, estranged stepmother of the Norman character needs their help and wants to live with them. And he doesn't want anything to do with this. He says, this woman was just so nasty to me growing up and horrible and very, very religious, so much so that I couldn't even watch Nick Jr. It was too risque. So I had one VHS tape of Veggie Tales that I watched over and over again, and apparently that scarred him. And if you've seen Veggie Tales, all right, maybe. But he is vehemently against this. But this woman wants to also give them the life that they need. She is willing to, if they take her in, give them her estate when she passes, and that includes, money not only for their future, but hey, we can put our kid through college, we can pay off our house, this and that. Let's try and make this work. And so Catherine Hunter plays Solange, who is the evil stepmother, and as you can imagine, things don't go all that well. So Catherine Hunter, look, she is really the only reason to see this movie, and I don't recommend seeing it, as you'll find out later with my grade. But if you do, she is the reason. She is compelling and interesting, and plays this part, with her full heart. You may know her from the Andor TV series in the Star Wars universe. She was in a handful of episodes of that, but she's worked with a lot of really acclaimed directors in the last few years. She had a small role in Poor Things. She had a role in Megalopolis, which is the Francis Ford Coppola movie that got really kind of trashed by a lot of people, but I have not seen it yet, but at least people said it was interesting and original, if nothing else. And that is actually my biggest issue with this movie, is that it is not original. It is cobbling together all of these pieces of much, much better horror movies. And look, there's only so much you can do in the horror genre, right? A lot of movies, are sort of borrowing from other things or whatever. Every few years, there'll be one that you're just like, okay, wow, that is something different, or that is something new. And a lot of the time, the studio providing us that something new is A24, which is producing this movie. And look, love or hate A24's movies, most of them are wildly original. I believe they did do Poor Things. I think they do most of the Yorgos movies. But Robert Eggers. I think they've done all of his movies. They certainly did The Witch, and I think The Lighthouse as well. And they always are doing something interesting. I don't love all their movies, I really don't. But even in the horror genre, they've done some really cool things. They did a movie called Talk to Me a few years ago that was really neat. But they've also had some movies I hated, some movies I've given F's to. Spring Breakers, for example. Hated that movie, but I have to admit it wasn't like any other movie. James Franco, sucking on the barrel of a gun like it's a penis. All right, well, that was something original, I guess. It stunk, and I didn't like the movie, but A24 is not known for playing it safe or doing things the same as has come before. And that is what this movie is. Look, maybe because of the relationship with Robert Eggers, they were like, hey, I hear your twin brothers want to get into the biz. Let's throw them a bone. You've done such great movies for us. Let's give them the chance. But this just ain't it. And did they write the movie as well? They sure did. Okay, so they co-wrote the movie. So really, most of the blame for this film falls on them. It's not Brandy's fault. Brandy's fine here. I mean, look, she's not an A-list actress, but I've always enjoyed her in the movies I've seen her in. But unfortunately, she picks a lot of bad ones. Maybe she's just not getting great scripts because she's not in that, upper pantheon. But I think the last thing I saw her in was that horrible Tyler Perry movie, Temptation, which now was maybe 10 years ago. I've probably seen her in something since then and don't remember. But she's fine here. She's doing her best. Obviously she has an acting background. She was in the sitcom Moesha for many years, and she did I Still Know What You Did Last Summer and that Cinderella movie in the 90s. And she's all right, but the script is just not what it needs to be. There's some interesting things maybe with this stepmother character, things that we've seen many, many times before, but then they dig into this well of let's do a bunch of scenes where the Brandy has to clean up after her, and so she's pooping and peeing everywhere when we see it, and it's like after the second or third run of that, you're like, all right, I get it, Brandy's got to clean her up. It's a nightmare taking care of her. She's doing it on purpose. It's not that she's incontinent. She's just an a-hole. We got it. And it's an interesting take, I guess, with this character. Catherine Hunter can do way better than this, and we've seen it. And hopefully the Eggers brothers can do better than this too. Because I was thinking, oh, well, maybe Robert had a rocky start too. And nah, his first feature film was The Witch. He's only done four films: The Witch, Lighthouse, The Northman, and now Nosferatu. And they've all been, hailed by the critics and all of this. This one, definitely missing the mark on a lot of levels. The directing even is just very basic, especially for a horror movie. And there's a lot of darkness. The house is not very well lit. It's dank. So there's a lot of darker scenes, which maybe, is supposed to lend to the creepiness factor. But for me, it was just this is more of the same that I've seen so many times over and over. So unfortunately, a swing and a miss for both A24 and the younger Eggers. I leave The Front Room with a D. But if you are so interested, you can catch it now streaming on Max. All right. Thank you so much for watching Dan Reviews It, and I will see you next time. Bye.